And just like that, Sex and the City is back. But is it? Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I was so excited about the premiere of And Just Like That because I'm a huge Sex and the City fan. I still do marathons of it. And Sex and the City ended, I think, 2010. So it's been about 20 years and it was light and fun and raunchy most of the times. So this new chapter, yes, it's a very different tone than the original series. I felt like it was very depressing at times and it was almost like a dark comedy. Maybe because the characters are older, we see them going through a heart attack, hearing loss, Alzheimer's maybe. Hear me out and tell me if I'm stretching. Remember the scene where Carrie's in the kitchen looking at her computer for funeral homes. Miranda comes in and says, I'm gonna make us coffee. Where's the coffee? Where do you put the coffee? She says coffee like 100 times. Carrie says it's in the freezer. And they're talking. Miranda says something and Carrie says, make what? And Miranda goes, coffee. At that point, I was like, oh no, are they gonna give Carrie Alzheimer's? Do you think I'm going somewhere with this? Or she was just distracted, mind elsewhere? I won't talk much about fashion because I didn't think, at least on this first 2 episodes, I didn't think there was like a wow moment. Besides Carrie's dress at the funeral, the whole ensemble, from hat to shoes, it was immaculate. Like, this woman is going through the most horrible moment of her life and she still puts herself together. And Lily's, Charlotte's daughter, the Oscar de la Renta flower dress, I thought it was beautiful. And the fact that her sister Rose didn't want to put the dress on, I was just like, girl, your mama buys you an Oscar de la Renta dress. You better wear it. This is not time to be a rebel. It was a special occasion. Put on the dress or stay home. And she goes in this like tuxedo shirt and her Converse. I was like, go find your sense of style at another time. Miranda, does she have a drinking problem? From going to the bar before her class, which I thought was just nerves, 10:45 a.m. And then the bartender says, we don't open until 11. And she's like, I'll wait. It's 11 o'clock somewhere. And I was like, okay. To chugging the bourbon at the funeral, to bringing a full bottle of wine in her purse to the recital, I was like, Miranda, what's going on here? Do you think she's maybe just nervous about school, stressed about Steve's hearing loss? Because, he lost 60% in one year and 40% at the other. And then maybe she's overwhelmed with Brady, her son, who, by the way, has 0 boundaries. That kid, it's driving me bananas. I also feel like Miranda is gonna hook up with Che, Carrie's boss from the podcast. Did you guys get that feeling too? And speaking of the podcast, I thought it was really weird that Carrie felt uncomfortable talking about masturbation because that's all they did at the original series, was talk about sex. So was that just another proof that Samantha brought the sex into the city? Speaking of Samantha, they do address the lack of the 4th musketeer, as she was called by someone / Kim Cattrall. Apparently, she moved to London because she was hurt that Carrie didn't want her as her publicist anymore. I was like, what? Do you think Samantha would leave New York just because you don't want her to be your publicist anymore? Those 2 women went through deeper issues in the past that they worked it out and they couldn't work this out. And they kept throwing shade at Kim Cattrall. They're saying, yeah, I called her, I text her, she won't reply to my text, she won't call me back. And then Miranda says, I too called her and I text her, she's just hurt and she's mad. And I was like, oh my God, they kept twisting the knife, almost like that they were talking to Kim Cattrall. Deep in my heart, I just hope they work through their issues in real life because I really want Kim Cattrall back in the show. Big spoiler, no pun intended, but I think Big's death was the worst advertisement for Peloton. Old people are now looking at those bikes going like, I'm not getting one of those. No, I thought the heart attack scene was really well done. From him touching his left arm to Carrie at the recital playing with her left fingers and playing with her hand, to the dramatic piano music. The fact that he didn't die right away, that he waited to get one last look at the love of his life, and then he had enough strength to touch her arm at the end, right before he passed away. I thought it was amazing what they did here. And I hear a lot of people, before they die, they actually hold on till the last second so they can see the person they love the most. Now, I kind of knew before the premiere that someone was going to die because there was a lot of talks on the internet that they were shooting a scene at a funeral. And then the rumors were that Big was the one that was going to die. So watching the episode, I had that in the back of my mind. And my theory is that Carrie is gonna let her hair go gray because Big died. Remember on the first movie, when Big leaves her at the altar and she's grieving like, you know, like someone died, she changes her hair color to that chocolate brown, which I thought was a great color for SJP. I loved that Charlotte and Miranda were taking turns to not leave Carrie alone. And for the first time ever, because I loved Big and Carrie's relationship, but for the first time, I wish they had a kid. Because thinking in real life, if my partner, the love of my life, died, I can't even imagine how I would go through it by myself. I was really annoyed that Charlotte was crying all the time. And I get the sense of guilt that she was feeling, because if I was the one that kept pushing and pushing and pushing Carrie to go to that recital and then Big dies, I would be crushed by guilt. But it was so selfish that she kept making it about herself. My favorite part was actually the last scene when Carrie is trying to go to sleep and she asks Miranda for another pill, and Miranda looks at the clock and says, no, I can't give you another one for another 5 hours. And Carrie goes to the couch, lays on the couch, she's staring at Big's ashes, and then she narrates and says, and just like that, I realized how long 5 hours are. And I was like, oh, because, you know, when you're going through something so horrible, you just want to be numb. You don't want to feel the hours passing. You don't want to feel the minutes passing. You basically just want to go to sleep and let the days go by. And I think at that moment when she said, I realized how long 5 hours are, it was her realizing that I'm going to have to go through the motions. So I'm super excited for the rest of this season. What did you think about my theories? You know, what did I say about Carrie maybe having Alzheimer and Miranda with her, you know, hitting the sauce too hard? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, make sure you hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and also hit the little bell, the notification button so you don't miss any future videos. And I'll see you next time.